Glad to have you back. Now, Nigeria's survival is under threat. First from Boko Haram insurgents who have consistently in the last 9 years carried out a destructive campaign in the northeast, killing, maiming and even destroying property worth billions of naira.
Well, the country has also witnessed increased killings by herdsmen that started out as clashes between herders and farmers, but has now evolved into what many describe as armed banditry. The vicious armed bandits have repeatedly opened fire on defenseless Nigerians for no clear or apparent reason.
Now, with all of this, Nigeria also has to contend with possible food insecurity, as most of the states that have come under attack in the country are known for their agricultural contribution. Constant attacks on farming communities in affected states have forced farmers lucky to be alive to abandon their farmlands.
The effect clearly visible as once thriving food production strongholds have become a shadow of themselves. What must Nigeria do to end the killings that now pose a major threat to Nigeria's food security? And that forms part of our questions I will be asking our guest this morning, Ganifani, a lawyer and public affairs analyst who's joining us in the studio. Good morning and thanks for...
You're welcome.
Good morning, my sister.
Your time with us this morning.
Yes.
Okay, now, these herdsmen attacks, of course, are giving Nigerians a lot of cause for worry, especially when you hear from the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, that by 2050, Nigeria will be facing famine. And then you have these herdsmen attacks, you know, attacking farmers, destroying farmlands, and all of that. And coupled with that is the climate change challenge. So Nigeria is facing a major food insecurity problem.
It is disconcerting to me that when we thought that Boko Haram would be taking flight, particularly with a personality like our president, a former general, who knew precisely how criminals could be dealt with, or terrorists, and that we are now having herders attack, compounding it, because on a daily basis, you know that upon all the assurances that Boko Haram is decimated, Boko Haram is wiped off, you know, in stark reality now, Boko Haram is still very, very potent.
Yeah.
And upon that now we are having, I could call it a self-inflicted problem again, the herders. And it is quite unfortunate for us, because some of these problems, as far as I'm concerned, are avoidable with planning, strategic planning. You should be a leader or government, powerful as it is, rich as it is, Nigeria endowed as it is, to have planned for 50 years and beyond, that we don't need to be planning segmentally. This is my regime. I plan for 4 years, 8 years, and then somebody else comes to disown what happened before. So it is quite clear that what is happening, what is looming, what we are seeing, is serious famine is coming. Serious one, and I want you to take it very seriously. Armed robbery in terms of food will take over everywhere, because our population is increasing, and most of us, even before this herders issue, we have depopularized agriculture. Most of people in my generation were sent to Lagos by their parents because of the low level importance of agriculture.
Yeah. Agriculture for white-collar jobs.
Yes, because that was the thing. That's the only thing you can do to own a car and to be seen as a successful person. Whereas, when we were growing up, teachers that came to our communities, they lived in farmers' houses. Wow. Because of the investment of those days, but suddenly, importance shifted to other things.
Okay, so apart from the natural disasters that could hamper food security, like she talked about, that have been projected, and you're saying the lack of planning could even worsen it, and then the man-made issues of the killings, there is also the problem of the Lake Chad shrinking. And we've heard that, in fact, that is even contributing to how herdsmen are, you know, moving towards the country.
Belt, yeah.
So how do you want the government to work around this? Because it seems that there are so many factors limiting the country.
These are lazy excuses to me, that the Lake Chad is contracting and all that. Are we saying that government cannot look for a way of reviving some of these ponds and all that, are there?
There is already an effort anyway to rescue the Lake Chad. Look, Nigeria is involved in it.
It is too late in the day.
Okay.
We ought to be saying this thing that it is coming. We ought to, by now, must we wait for a crisis like this before we start to have ranches? Must I say because my ancestors trekked to Lagos, I must be trekking to Lagos? We wait until when the problems are here. By now, the person who conceived the idea of nomadic education, there was a time in this country, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
And the personality involved, I would say, was one of the persons who could say this country has ever produced from the northern part of this country. And people were criticizing this nomadic education that into which we are pumping billions. Will these structures be moving after them? Say, keep your mouth shut. Where are they today? Can you get a single graduate of that scheme? So people ought to be traced with their policies when they were in government and what they have done. If the right things have been done by ranching and ensuring some of these people go to schools, there's no difference between you and I and whoever that is a herder.
It's interesting you talk about ranching now, which is what the federal government seems to be looking at very seriously as a solution to the herdsmen killings, so that we don't have the fallout, which would be hunger in the land. Open grazing has been banned in middle belt states, about 5 or so of them.
Yes.
Government is insisting on ranching and what have you.
Yes.
And we had a guest on the show yesterday, who actually continually harped on the economic value of ranching, how youth will be employed, the other economic outcomes that could emanate from ranching. And government doesn't seem to be seeing that.
Must anyone be
the
told
way it should?
The advantage that is so glaring? In a situation, there are even templates in other places we have seen working. It is not a question, there's nothing special about it.
Templates that have worked in Nigeria,
even in the past. Go there. What is the essence of governance? What is the essence of the resources at our disposal? What is the essence that you travel to one place or the other? We say traveling is part of education. It's not as if there are blocks. There is nothing that is preventing ideas from flowing from one place to the other. So I just see it, like I told you, is failure of projection. Nigeria is unfortunate to be in the hands of people who believe that, okay, things could just be coming at the will of God.
All right, now that we are here,
we
are here. The problem, we are faced with these problems now. What is the way forward? What should be done? They've not planned. They've made mistakes. We are here. What is the
address it as it is? For instance, you can't drive me away from my ancestral land and have peace. There must be peace and there must be justice. As I tell you, in most parts of this country today, apart from the middle belt that you are talking about, I'm from Ekiti. Nobody saunters to the farm as we used to do, apart from the fact that if you are a farmer, you'll be looked down upon. You are a farmer. What do you bring from it? You will even regret it at the end, because somebody is targeting you that will harvest overnight everything you have been investing for quite a long time. There is the need, a conscious effort by government to intervene seriously. Not this issue of the oil prices going up every day. Is coming down.
But this administration has been trying to assist farmers, really. We have the Anchor Borrower Scheme, and we have other little supports being given to farmers in accessing credits.
Very good. You see, education is so fundamental that to change a way of doing things, it is education precisely that can get you. It is always difficult for a person to change. Even when you are suffering, you still want to believe that is the best way.
Yeah.
So education is paramount to the issue at hand. The government ought to be involved and know that people, it's like when you talk of all these things that you are buying, armaments and all that, we will buy more and more for as long as we leave education behind in all this. The people don't know the importance of a change that we are talking about, which is very clear.
In other words, education really is at the core of
the
solving the multi
it is the one that puts you,
problems that Nigeria
has. It's the one that puts value on your life.
On your life.
Yes.
Very interesting. A former naval chief, actually, let me just bring this out. It's mind-boggling. 67 hectares of his 500 hectares farm was actually destroyed by herdsmen.
Yes.
Orange trees and all kinds of things. And this is just one
Yes, of several.
Of several farmers in Nigeria. Olufalaye, for example.
Yes.
You know.
You are talking of another former chief somewhere in Kwara or Kogi State. We heard about it.
Yeah.
Did you, like we are saying, these herders believe they have a right to go anywhere and feed their cows?
Yes, my point is, when a farmer loses about 200 million naira from one herder's attack, how do you get him back to go back to his farm? Should government begin to think seriously about some kind of incentive to get this, farmers, maybe to compensate them? And even like you said, agriculture is no longer fashionable. Young people they're not even attracted to it. They're not even thinking about it.
Yes.
What should government be doing in that regard? The
government ought to intervene almost immediately by ensuring that there is a form of compensation, glaring ones, just to address the issue so that that person will not be discouraged. Are you saying the person who invested, assuming he took a loan to do all this, and then it is now destroyed? That person will be too glaring or too happy. Next year will go there again, or others will follow them. I could give an example. As a youth corper in the 70s, precisely in 1979, my students in GSS Kagoro, in the epic center of this, which you call now Southern Zaria, we were feeding them, buying cows for them on a weekly basis. We were giving them transport fare to go and come. And when I asked my principal, why were we doing this? Because it was not being done where I come from. They say it's an incentive for them to come back. Otherwise, when they go, they won't come back. So all these are things that are not, there's something strange or something so that government cannot know. That if they destroy my farm, I won't go apart from the threat to my own life. So government...
And since government knows it may cost it a lot of money in terms of compensating, whether it's farmers in Benue, Taraba, Adamawa, and the rest of the... Maybe it will make government even... do all it takes to end this herdsmen attack, so it doesn't even happen in the first place.
Apart from the political
angle
of it, the religious angle of it, you see how the thing is coming, and the elections are approaching.
All right, you were trying to make a point earlier on the question as to what government can do in terms of incentives to not only help farmers who have been affected go back to the farms, but even the young people who don't seem to have any interest in
Before we leave that topic,
yes,
the government ought to also have intervened, because let me tell you another dimension. This occupation of lands, ancestral lands. When it's not as if nobody is now on the farm. It's a question of might is right. The man who is now there is armed, dangerous, living probably on a tree or living on a mountain. The government ought to ensure that the farms are, these marauders are flushed out to start with. Not that alone, we have IDPs. The IDPs are created as a result of this insecurity. The government has a duty to ensure that you can go back to wherever you are coming from. And there is the security. What's the essence of government? So basically, the government needs to demonstrate power and decision. Quick one, that this one will not be, it will be taken. It's not a question of, communality or what have you. You have taken another person's land, leave the place the way you also came there. That's not how it is done.
But have you seen the government being that,
That's what I'm saying. That's what is giving worry and concern to so many people. Why must somebody perpetually be at an IDP? An IDP, if there is a disaster, should not just be for 1 week or thereabout. The government has a duty. Who is the man that is causing this? Go and deal with him decisively and bring the people back and ensure there is security in the place. But rather, the government appears to be food dragging.
Now, President Buhari, while in Bauchi, he said that if not for education, that he would have gone the same.
Can you imagine that? If not for education, can I be talking the way I'm also talking?
So, we talked earlier about the nomadic education, moribund nomadic education program. Now, don't you think that if that comes back again, find a way to make it work or something similar to that, and to make these people understand that you can coexist without being violent? You think it will work?
I am a product of Western region of this country. Before I went to school, before my generation were able to go to school, there was compulsory free primary education. We are beneficiaries. So what you are seeing in this place is not created by God, per se. It was not created by the colonial masters. It was a will of the government at that time. Looking into the future, we're not talking of over 60 years. Look at part of the product. And those people who are older than me. So it has become part of our custom to go to school. Nobody must come and deceive you. And your own children will now be going to school. Those of your neighbors will not go. In the system that we had, which we inherited, it was for everybody. It was universal. Either you are a son of a gate man, gate or what have you, everybody was open. And that's why when you cover the field, you can always get the best. It is not only the children of the rich that are brilliant.
You're going to
go to school
schools.
And you find this.
And they mixed in schools too.
Exactly.
The children of the rich and the children of the poor. What happened to our 10-year development plans and all those plans we used to have as a way of projecting into the future and knowing exactly what to put in place? For example, now Nigeria does not have an accurate data or even a data of farmers.
Yes.
I'm not even talking about the population.
It's
That's
everywhere
a totally different
because
kettle of fish.
It is politicized.
Yeah.
We use it for some other things that we are aware of. Population is one of the factors that you use for the disbursement of allocation on a monthly basis. Local government is part of them. Tell me how these things are functional in such a way to encourage productivity. So our policies always encourage the indolent. That, okay, we are many here. And not the quality. And then what we also contribute. So we have to be conscious to know the right thing. We even know the right thing. All we don't want to do is that we don't want to do the right thing. On paper, look at the laws of this country. There is no aspect of our laws that is lacking. We have too many of them. Then what about implementation? So too many things are done. If I give just one example for which I am privileged to be a practitioner, look at the local government. When the local government reforms of 1976 was coming into place, it was envisaged that by the time you retire from here, you will go back to your towns to become councillors. A professor will retire and go back. The man who had seen knowledge, guess where will come? That was what was on paper.
And imparts that knowledge.
Exactly. But what is happening? Go and try it. A jobless boy is waiting there because they build houses within 3 years of their tenure. Okay,
let's just quickly talk more about this food insecurity growing and, you know, focus a little on Benue State, which is the food basket of Nigeria, and almost on a daily basis, people are killed there. And of course, we've heard and seen how different security organizations sent there have been accused in one way or the other of collusion. Collusion, kind of, or high-handedness.
Of course, it's obvious. So, you see, some of these things are being said because we don't want to rock the boat. It is too clear and obvious. If, for instance, we say there's a body called IPOP, and when there we silence the man quickly, and somebody is still somewhere hibernating, what is he hibernating there? If you want to do the right thing this morning, all these things you are talking about will come to an end. So that's why government is being accused.
The rhetoric of deodorant and insecticide.
Partiality. Or some people are probably part of, and again, people in government giving excuses to the extent of say, oh, somebody blocked grazing route. What is the meaning of that? Shall we be talking about right now grazing route? Which grazing route, on whose land? On my ancestral land? I have a right under the law, even under our culture and custom, to protect whatever is yours.
Okay, so let's begin to bring it home. Is Nigeria's food security really at the core of these attacks? Is it the food security that is being attacked in the name of herdsmen, farmers' clashes?
When you are intimidated and you are frightened,
so that projection can actually
come true. It is here. It's knocking at the door.
If a nation like Nigeria is hungry,
yes,
what could happen?
What will happen? You have seen a semblance. During the Civil War, we were told. People, cannibalization was going on. People eating people. People, look. There is a community here in Lagos, I read some times ago, where animals, in some parts of this Lagos, monkeys, come to terrorize them. In this Lagos we are. Even animals, when it is hungry, if you put bread in your house, they will come through the window. Wow. You will see people knock your door and say, bring the food out, and you will see gun in their hand. So what will you do?
And on a lighter
note, or you see somebody who is selling food, say, please bring it. And when you say gun, what do you do? What do you do now when somebody says he wants to take your phone in traffic in Lagos?
And hopefully, if it doesn't even get to that dangerous extent, it means that Nigeria would continue to import heavily agricultural produce.
take your oil. When you were not refining your oil here, what are you doing with it? Something you get here. What don't you go to other countries to have it? We will start to import again. Somebody will blame somebody in the past, whereas there's continuum in government.
Yeah.
So these are the issues that I expect government to intervene to the satisfaction of all of us. Not anything that's so special in any particular instance.
Ganifani, lawyer and public affairs analyst, thank you very much for your time on the show.
Thank
you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, now, time for a short breather. When we come back, we'll look at that minimum wage. What better day to be talking about that than May Day?